Okay, it looks like we are live. Welcome, everybody. My name is Diane Rose Solomon. I am the founder of Animal Magic Films. Here we go, a little banner for you. Thank you for joining us in our 10th interview in the Science and Magic of the Human-Animal Bond interview series. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Animal Magic Films, and join our group, The Science and Magic of the Human-Animal Bond, on Facebook. And we will be exploring many of the ways that animals help people and people help animals. It's a both and conversation where we all benefit from this bond. And I know I've benefited immensely from my relationship with my pets and also a surprise therapy dog visit in the hospital years ago. But now we get to hear from people like you and my guest, Arthur Jeon, today. So welcome, Arthur, to
Thank you.
our little series.
Thanks for having me.
You. Arthur and I go back like 25, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
When you were still a screenwriter and I hadn't even adopted my first dog yet.
Right. We're aging ourselves.
Big secret. So I'm going to read a little bit about your bio, Arthur, and then we've got about 25 years worth of catching up to do in the next 20 minutes. So
Great.
Arthur was working in Hollywood as a WGA writer. He sold several scripts, including thrillers, to Warner Brothers before becoming an author. Random House published 2 of his nonfiction books, City Dharma, Keeping Your Cool in the Chaos, and Sex, Love, and Dharma, Finding Love Without Losing Your Way. And both books apply mindfulness to the stresses of modern life. Arthur's love of animals led him to co-create the nonprofit Global Animal Foundation, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And this animal welfare exposed him to the alarming habitat destruction and extinction rates that generated the idea for his new novel, Snowflake, which is also your first novel, which we're going to talk about because I just finished it. And it's one of those really intense books that still has me like a week after I finished it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I'm really glad we have a chance to talk about it. But let's start with the easy questions.
Right. Sure.
What inspired you to start Global Animal?
Yeah, my wife and I started Global Animal about 9 years ago because we, like you, we love animals. And we just wanted a place to go where we could just, read about animals, read about animal welfare, see cute animal videos, and also just learn about wildlife and habitat destruction and what was being done to help animals around the world. And there wasn't a place where it was all combined. So we decided to just start it ourselves. And then shortly after that, Fukushima happened and a lot of pets were left in the exclusionary zone. And we started raising money through the magazine.
Wow.
And then we just decided to create a foundation called Global Animal Foundation, which is kind of a Red Cross for animals. So what we do is we take the online magazine, we'll run a campaign, collect money, and then 100% of the money will go to sort of vetted organizations on the ground. So in Fukushima, these are actual really cool, sometimes illegal groups that would go in and pull these animals out out of the exclusionary zone. So, and we help out in tornadoes or hurricanes or whatever. So that's the way Global Animal got started, and it's been quite a journey.
That's amazing. So it sounds like, especially with the foundation, it helps animals, right, directly,
Sure.
During disaster. And it also helps people in terms of, getting information. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have run campaigns around every issue, whether it's boycott the big top when, with, using elephants as entertainment, to SeaWorld, to actually getting actively involved and, protesting destruction of habitats and stuff like that. So it definitely, we think it helps animals, but also it gives people an opportunity to plug into, how can they get environmentally involved at this particular moment in life. So yeah, it's quite a journey. And I think anytime you create that, I mean, that's very much what you're about, but where you create this connection between human and animal, both both benefited. We have to remember that we are animals, so we like to think that nature is separate from us, but we are that nature. So
Exactly.
so yeah,
it's so true, and I love that Global Animal is a place where people can learn more. It's like to learn about the different issues. You've got sections on the website where you can learn about these things, because I think a lot of times we're all like, what can I do? I don't even really understand this. What's going on? But we can go to Global Animal and learn about some of these issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting informed is the most important thing, and that's how, I mean, when I started diving into the science about what was going on with the sixth extinction that we're in right now, and sort of the habitat destruction of the Amazon, and that's when I realized, like, I just felt like I got this idea for my book, and it was just it just came to me kind of almost fully blown that some people respond to science and can read science. But some people need a story and a character to sort of go along with it. So,
so this is a perfect segue.
Okay.
I really am excited to talk about this.
Great.
Your new book is called Snowflake. Can you show us a copy of it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. There's the there we go. That's the cover.
Okay.
That's a real person, but that's not him. He's not Ben, but he's an 18-year-old kid, and that's the protagonist of the novel.
So I have to say, the book is intense. It's witty. It's dark. You can really feel a sense of urgency in the writing. So what prompted you to write it? I mean, you just touched on it a little bit, learning about the habitat destruction, but, tell me, like, what was the final, that's it, I'm writing this, and, tell me about the process a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was very much about, Trump got elected, and everything, he just started dismantling the EPA, the Department of the Interior. And there's this moment where the meme was, his malevolence was tempered by his incompetence. But the one area where he wasn't incompetent was in absolutely destroying everything Obama had tried to do to help us with climate change and the environment. So I just to be honest, I was enraged. And rather than pick up a sword, I picked up a pen and started writing. And I started thinking, why isn't anybody talking about this? Nobody was talking about the sixth extinction in 2016 during the election. Greta Thunberg was still in middle school. The New York Times wasn't doing a piece every day on the climate. And I just started feeling like people needed another way to have access to this climate emergency that we're in, that wasn't just facts and figures, but was actually a character they might be able to relate with and care about, and get into a story, and then go on this kind of Don Quixote journey with this character. So, so I was feeling so like we're in this emergency moment, but somehow as a writer, I kept looking around, waiting for a book that was going to be able to sum up a snapshot of where we are with our environmental crisis, but also be entertaining and gripping and make you laugh, make you cry, sort of keep you on this journey and sort of entertain while it sort of slipped in the science of where we are. I mean,
it more than slipped in the science.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot in there.
Yeah. It's the structure of the novel is it's Ben is the main character, and it's his journal. And so that allowed me to, and he has a mild case of OCD. He's also but
he's also brilliant.
Yeah, he's a brilliant kid, but I needed a character that was young and was going to face the brunt of what the climate chaos is going to serve up for Gen Z in the next 10, 20 years. And so he had to be brilliant. He had this particular mind, which is based on a friend of mine who actually has a brain like this, who can't forget anything he reads or anything that happens to him. And my friend Bob, who's been on 60 Minutes, is just one of these characters that you can say, hey, Bob, what happened at, March 30th, in, 2017, and he'll tell you. So he's in this kind of dystopian world of his own mind, but he's living life. He's doing Molly. He's partying with friends. And then there's a couple of things that happen. His sister almost dies after wildfire smoke triggers a almost fatal asthma attack. His house almost burns down. And he starts to slowly get radicalized, and the focus starts to narrow on the one person he sees as being the most dangerous for the environment that there is, and that's the president. And so the other reason he had to be a young kid, so that you had his brilliance, but also his naivete about what he could set off to do. And I wanted people to be, scared for him. Like he's this kid that's going off to take on, the entire U.S. government to try to get at this president that he sees as sort of destroying the planet.
Okay, so you haven't quite said that yet. So say the tagline of the book.
Yeah, so this is the book is basically about an 18-year-old gifted kid who decides he has to kill the president of the United States as an act of environmental self-defense. So that's the elevator pitch, from my Hollywood days. And yeah, it's about, and he's a brilliant kid, and so he's writing these journal entries, and he's trying to figure out, is this ethical? Is this a moral thing to do? At what point is it okay to do something like this? And then at the end of each of these very short, each chapter is his journal entry, and they're all a page or two, I'll have real headlines. And so all of the facts in the book, all of the headlines, the presidential tweets, all of it they're real. I mean, they're ghastly, but they're real things that have happened, real things that we've done as a species to the planet. So, I have
a question about that.
Sure. Yeah.
How much research was involved for you in terms of pulling together the quotes, or how much of it had you already seen and you were just like, it just keeps coming to me, so I don't have to do that much research?
Yeah, it had kept coming. That was 10 years of Global Animal, and where you're like, oh, mankind has killed 95% of the fish in the ocean, or killed, as I mentioned, 60% of the animals on the planet, or 350.org was created as an environmental organization to keep CO2 emissions down to 350 parts per million. Well, we're at 415 now and going up every year. So 350 was the limit. It was like this idea of like, if we hit 350, we're going to start to hit hothouse Earth, and that's a real concept that scared me. And so it took a ton of research. The book was initially like 750 pages long, and I had to like cut it to get it down. And I even still feel like all artwork is abandoned. It's never finished. I don't know who said that, but that's a really good quote. You finally had to be like, okay,
I have to give it up. Yeah.
Right.
So, you explained why you focused on, Gen Z and why he's 18 years old. Is that your targeted reader, or do you feel like it's really more adults that would?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because I wanted it to be. It's not really a YA novel because it's pretty dark. But a lot of young people, I've been hearing from young people, and they are into it. So I was happy to hear that, because I'm glad I got his voice right. But yeah, it's this is the same problem I always had in Hollywood, which is like, what's your genre, Arthur? Because it's just like I would write, thrillers, or then I'd write some moving drama, and I always had a hard time zeroing in. But I think this is a kind of a book that everybody can read. I mean, there's certainly it's not it's for a mature audience. I wouldn't say give this book to your 12-year-old as a YA novel, but
or an immature 18-year-old either.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Because I know some 18-year-olds that would have no problem with it. They'll totally get it because they're paying attention.
Yeah.
And then there's some that it would just flip them out.
Yeah. So in a way, I chose the novel form because I wanted to communicate all of this with the utmost urgency and anxiety, which is what I started to feel as I did more and more research. I just started to feel like, oh my God, we're when the IPCC says we've got 10 years to turn this around, and by turn it around, that means taking that parts per million rate and lowering it 7.5% every year for the next 10 years, that is not going to happen. There's almost nothing we can do now that Trump has wasted the first 4 years of this decade when they put that out. So, so we're in a very critical point, and I just wanted to communicate that urgency.
And you could feel the urgency. It was like, as you could see, like, the more he learned, the more upset he got. It was kind of like each fact kept getting piled on, and he, as you said, he couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So it was just weighing on and weighing on. But you could see, like, the urgency in his OCD, like, it ramps up in the book.
Right.
And I'm envisioning you, because I know you. I'm envisioning you. Infuriated and so upset and so.
Yeah, I was pretty upset. I spent 3 years very upset, Diane, and which is weird for me because I'm normally a fairly optimistic person. And I'll be honest with you, I was very happy to get out of Ben's head and just sort of be like, okay, I can reset a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it had to be again, this idea of the character taking people on a journey. So it had to be this step-by-step immersion into the facts, into the science, into his anxiety, and then into his like research and discovery of how he's going to actually do it. Like, how can you possibly accomplish this? And I came up with a way that you can actually do it. And so it was
so brilliant.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And it took a lot of research, to going to gun shows and to going to, to rallies, and just kind of immersing myself in that world, because I really wanted to capture, when the book switches again its format at the end, I really wanted to capture that kind of insanity of that world that he was entering, which is, a sort of a rally. But
which was really remarkable. I mean, the gun show scene and the rally scene, I was really amazed. I've never been to a gun show, and I've never been to a conservative rally, but I could see them being spot on. I could.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't, you don't have to exaggerate what's going on, as we saw this last week. I mean, there's just a level of rabidness and kind of insanity. And so, it was really important for me to get the tone of it right and have it feel right. And also for him to actually kind of make a friend when he was waiting in line to get in the rally, and just to show all aspects of that world. And just kind of, I wanted, it couldn't be just like, totally one-sided. It had to be somewhat nuanced. So
the president in the book, in the novel, let's be clear, is clearly based on Trump, but you call him Cretan.
Yeah.
Tell me what went into making that decision.
Well, I mean, I joke. I wanted to avoid visits from the Secret Service. But
have you had any questions? Has anybody questioned you?
A lot of people questioned me, including my close relatives. Like, they were like, "You don't know what a hornet's nest you're stirring up." But Trump is a MacGuffin in this book. He's an avatar of the problem. But a Cretan is a stupid, vulgar, and insensitive person. So I just thought, like, Cretanism is just a state of mind, and it's and that state of mind is just extractive and consumptive. And we're seeing the results of that. Like, when you have endangered pangolins in wet markets in China creating COVID. That's just Mother Nature giving us a tap on the shoulder and saying, this is a warning, but, like if an avian flu goes airborne, we could lose half the world's population. So this kind of sense of cretinism, which will exist after Trump is gone and well into the future, is the same thing that gives rise to, they killed 27,000 African elephants last year out of 400,000 that are left. So that's its idea, But Trump, don't get me wrong, he has been the ringleader. He erased Obama's ban on importing their dead heads as trophies, so his sons can hang them on walls. So he is really, he has done so much that people aren't even aware of. But I wanted to name him as the problem, but I wanted the name to be a kind of, emblematic of him, but also to transcend him. So it's kind of, that's why I chose Cretinism, Cretan. that seemed to be a good name for him.
I want to end on a slightly lighter note.
This is a comedy, Diane. What are you talking about?
That I noticed that the family dog was a pit bull.
Oh yeah.
And named Gigi, and I suspect a little bit loosely based on your dog Lulu.
Oh yeah. Lulu's right here. You could probably even see Lulu. She's down there. Oh yeah, there she is. She's always, if you don't hear her snoring, she's always, taking out. She never leaves my side.
Yeah. So it's lovely that this family has a pit bull. Things get a little crazy at the end of the book. I'm not no spoiler alerts here.
I needed a way to show his emotional connection to animals and his love of animals. And he does it when he's high on ecstasy and he's wandering around on ecstasy before he gets radicalized. But also just, there's a lot of passages in the book where he just is in complete awe and appreciation of nature, whether it's looking at monarch butterflies in the garden or hummingbirds or just his encounters with his dog. And that kind of connection is something that I feel really strongly can help us have a more sympathetic view of nature as being this thing that will continue without us. It will be completely denuded, but we're destroying our own habitat that's supporting us, and we kind of have a tendency as humans to sort of think of it as being other, but it's us, and it's a thing that's supporting us. And so any way people can connect to that natural world is good. And the first start is with your family pet, with your dog, and I always thought it was very telling, and Benji makes note of this in the book. Trump doesn't have a pet, that would take care, and
it's exactly why, this human animal bond work that I'm doing, I believe that many people aren't going to necessarily feel a connection to the wild animals. But sometimes if you start with your own family pet, it allows you to make that jump. Another sentient being.
Absolutely. That's not a human, and I applaud you for what you're doing, because I've seen this with friends who I have actually seen this with friends who had no understanding of how come you love your dog so much, and blah, blah, and also just had no understanding of what taking their kids to the circus actually meant, what that was supporting, what kind of brutality that was supporting. And then they slowly came around. And that was one of the things that was gratifying about starting Global Animal, was that we wanted to be part of the conversation and change people's opinions of their relationship with nature. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Where can we learn more about Global Animal, and where can we learn more about Snowflake?
You can go to globalanimal.org, and there's a link there. Actually, good. Well done. globalanimal.org//Snowflake for more about the book. And of course, Snowflake's on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, and so you can go.
And I will put links to all of this on YouTube and Facebook, so people will be able to click right on it. And make it easy for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that it's the one book I think people can read where it's kind of like go on this journey, go on this wild ride. That's a thriller, but also like learn a lot as while you're going on it. So that yeah.
And it's all those things. It's learn a lot and it's a thriller. So
yeah.
Thank you for writing it, Arthur.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
Animal. I mean, it's all a gift to the world, and
well.
I'm so glad to have stayed in, sort of loose connection with you.
Yeah.
And then come back about animals. And
we always reconnect on animals, whether it's a book you've written or something else or something with global animal. So, yeah. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So thank you, Arthur. So before we go, we just have a couple of quick announcements.
Sure.
Once again, if you have not yet joined our community, our Facebook community is The Science and Magic of the Human-Animal Bond. And if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's Animal Magic Films. Please join us there as well. And let's see what else. If you have a human-animal bond story that you would like to share, we have our website. We're populating it with some more wonderful stories that people are sharing. Or perhaps you'd like to participate in an interview like this. You can email me directly at diane@animalmagicfilms.com. And I think that's it. And let's see, let's put you back up here. globalanimal.org, and Snowflake show us the book again.
Yeah.
Snowflake.
There it is. Oh, there we go.
And
also, just one last thing, that you can also, if people want to reach out, you can reach me by email, which is arthur@globalanimal.org. So it's
okay, and I'll put that in the notes as well.
Yeah, I mean, no hate mail, please. I'll just ignore it. It won't be the first.
Be kind, everybody. Everybody be kind. Okay, so that's me. So thanks again, Arthur. Thank you to everybody who's spending time with us today. We will be back here next Tuesday with yet another wonderful guest. So thank you, everybody, and have a great week. And thanks again, Arthur.
Thanks, Diane.